The time is coming swiftly. The middle rounds are no place for the unskilled. Yet here you are, unprepared, you fools. This season you will find all kinds of foes, eager to watch your draft crumble with wasted picks. There can only be one ultimate draft kit, only one that can bend them to its will, and it does not share power. You must wield the UDK and send your opponents back to the shadows. You shall not pass on this chance to send your league mates into the deep. Fly, you fools, to ultimatedraftkit.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Saturday, July 26th. It's a bad day to be alone.
Oh.
The Fantasy Footballers, this is actually our last Saturday show because we are right into 5 days a week in the month of August, which starts on Friday. So
we got a Friday show next week.
We do. We have Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday through Friday for a very, very long time, and very much looking forward to it.
We will not be shook from our schedule.
No. I mean, there's so much more to talk about every single episode. If you notice, the last episode we did, that went over by quite a bit from our normal time. It's just there's too much to talk about. You get to the top of these shows, you get these camp highlights and rumors swirling around. Today we've got news to talk about because
we had our first
our first injury scare. Yeah, because we naively forget a little bit that's part of what August is unfortunately about. I mean,
there will be a few.
Justin Fields was not the only one to talk about. We're recording this, by the way, Thursday afternoon. So we're recording this early just in case there are other significant injuries that happen because they might be.
Oh, I thought you were saying we're recording early because we don't want to talk about them.
What, because we'll just skip it if we record on time? No, Justin Fields is the story. We'll talk about it momentarily in the news, but he wasn't the only one to tweak something in practice and leave the field, and everybody holds their breath, and you have all these thoughts and projections and things you expect and are looking forward to, and it is possible that they get completely undermined by injury or
I mean, the
way that legal trouble.
The way that the Justin Fields thing was reported, at least the first one that I saw, was Justin Fields carted off the field, which it was true that he was on the cart, but it was like he walked off the field, he got taken a look at,
everyone
inspected,
gets,
and then they just had a
for
cart.
a rule of thumb, if you're reading through, don't panic about an injury right now because they cart off pretty much everybody. If there is an injury, they don't want them to have to walk all the way back inside. They're just.
I would like to be carted.
It's more like a shuttle.
If I got hurt,
Yeah, that's what they shuttled to the locker room. That sounds like a delightful time.
there's no reason to walk.
Right,
Exactly.
There's no reason to walk when you need to get an X-ray or get something checked out. Or, I mean, I don't want to walk.
What if
I
they
would
had,
like to be carted.
segways?
I'd like to be carted to the field.
They could still segue with like a torn ACL.
You mean
Segway?
it probably would be a bit harder.
Bro, 1 in 2 Segway people just crash. We don't need the ACL.
Get them on those.
Segways are not
birds.
a thing anymore, by the way.
Are they not?
No.
Oh.
Who's
Segways
the
are.
electric scooter company?
They came and went.
Yeah, Bird makes electric scooters. There's a lot of companies.
Yeah, jump on one of those.
Segway.
Does Segway make
Oh
those?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah,
9-bot.
The
Good unit.
I would.
It's a
Yeah, I
good
would. I'd
unit?
be. I'd,
What are you
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, let's start the show.
But I'd take a cart to and from the field every day.
A shuttle.
Yes.
So we have a quick question we're going to jump into. I did want to let the people know out there, those of you that already have the 2025 Ultimate Draft Kit, those of you that are thinking about getting it, we have a new tool we are releasing into the wild very soon. It is going to allow you to identify differences between what we consider the true value of a player by round. So we have our rankings, and then we look at your league setup and the amount of teams in your league and your platform, and we're able to kind of give you a true value on where we think players belong in the draft. And then we're coming out with a tool to let you compare that true value, that real value that we're giving you, with the differences of platform ADP. So Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, whatever you play on, a lot of people in your league are going to draft based on their average draft position and the list that the platforms give them during the draft.
Yep.
We wanted to give you a tool to take advantage of them and let you know what the true value of a player is versus where you think or they may be drafted in your league.
Yeah, in both directions. So it'll show you basically if you're getting someone where they're being drafted on that platform, who is a value, who you might want to reach for a little bit, or who to avoid. So I think it'll be a very straightforward, easy, awesome tool.
So that's coming very soon to the Ultimate Draft Kit. You can learn about everything else that's a part of the #1 draft kit at ultimatedraftkit.com. Get you prepped up. August is going to be here. Drafts are going to be here very, very soon. 100-plus player profile videos, all of our sleepers, breakouts, busts, values, player projections, and they're being updated all the time. I know after our last episode talking through the Godwin injury, there were some adjustments to Tampa Bay, finding out that he had a second procedure. Things change, right? Like the magazine that gets printed out, it's fun to read, but things change too quickly nowadays, and we got too much news and information that things have to stay, a little bit pliable, and we move players around based on how things are changing with depth charts and things like that. So that's ultimatedraftkit.com. Our quick question today comes from YouTube. Eric writing in, what is your favorite wide receiver quarterback stack at their current average draft position? You guys took like high value quarterback situations for your selections. I didn't. I just went Chase and Burrow.
Yeah.
That's the most fun one.
It is also my favorite to
that's
answer
fair.
the question.
But you better have the 101 or at worst the 102.
Correct. Yeah, that one is not a you don't get to opt into that one very easily, but it is my favorite. So I answered the question. I wanted to do one from the high end, the top end of the choices. It's interesting because when I think about it, like Burrow and Chase, that is majestic. That is wonderful. But you look at the other upper echelon quarterbacks, Allen, Lamar, those don't have organic stacks to them. Like there's not really what's the Allen stack? Shakir? That doesn't feel like a stack.
Yeah,
a stack.
know.
And Zay Flowers, Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, Mark Andrews, none of those feel like they are there for Jackson. So for the upper tier, I mean, you can go Hurts. Hurts and A.J. Brown was my second high-end choice because I do believe A.J. Brown is undervalued and Hurts is the bottom of the top 4 in terms of ADP. So that would be my other selection. If you don't have the 1 or 2 pick, I'd go A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, for me, I was looking for I usually like a stack where I can get a really, really good wide receiver and then a cheap quarterback that works together. This was a stack that 2 years ago literally won everybody fantasy football championships. Andy, you got the championship 2 years ago off this stack. It's Dak and CeeDee Lamb. I know you're not quite as bullish as I am on the outlook for Dak, but I think their defense is going to be much worse this year for the Cowboys. Their running game probably near non-existent.
It's probably worse.
CeeDee Lamb is every bit as good as any other wide receiver in the game, and he's being drafted in the first like Chase, but he's the middle of the first, so you've got a much better chance of getting him. And if I were to grab CeeDee Lamb in that draft, like if I'm at pick 5, pick 6, pick 7, and I decide to pull the trigger on Lamb, I'm waiting, and I'm getting Dak in the 10th, 11th round. I'm not going to pull the trigger on, a 4th round Joe Burrow just because I like Joe Burrow.
It's very interesting because I kind of want Mike to share his first, but then I have a question for both of you. As
okay.
I see one possible challenge to your selections.
Okay.
And I want to get your feedback, but I want Mike's first because it's a similar vein with the later round, double-digit round quarterback.
So I will say first, my answer to this question for most of the offseason has been Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson. I believe in Garrett Wilson this year, and I think that Justin Fields is worth the price of admission, the chance that it works out. It's not a guarantee, but with the injury, we'll talk about that. I'm not going to say that one. So I thought about it. George Kittle is one of our favorite picks of the entire draft. Currently holding in the 4th round, might sneak into the back of the 3rd. Even then, I'm okay with that. But it's Brock Purdy and George Kittle. It's kind of a little bit more off the radar for when you're thinking about a stack. But I think that could end up, and Purdy's in the 10th round. So I think that's a stack that could end up you're happier than it looks, going into the season while we're doing all our projections. Because things shift, quarterbacks move around. Brock Purdy has had time of being a really high touchdown percentage thrower, so the amount of attempts that turn into a touchdown, it wasn't as great last year, but it's in there.
Yeah, so my one question is, funny that you brought up specifically, if I take CD here, I'm waiting for Dak here. That was kind of what I was going to bring up, is when you have Dak and Purdy are double-digit round quarterbacks. Is there the risk when you're excited to have that stack and these guys are not in the top 12 by ADP that you feel like you're making a commitment that it could be detrimental? Like if you want a stack and you take that player and could you become afraid to pivot from them quickly? Or like in your case that you just said, you would pass on some other guys that you like just to get that stack later, but maybe you're more confident in Dak.
Yeah, my confidence in Dak is fairly high, so I'm not that worried. Obviously, I do think it's important if you grab a Dak Prescott, if you grab Brock Purdy, you don't just those aren't quarterbacks where you need to be locked in and say, well, because I've got a stack, I'm never going away from Dak Prescott. That would be foolish. There's a reason they're in the double-digit rounds, because there are ways that it doesn't go great for these guys. But at the same time, it's very, very achievable, and it's very, very affordable. Dak is in the 11th round. I would
take him in the 9th.
Yeah, that's exactly the words I was going to say. 9th round, whatever. It doesn't matter. At that point, you're not sacrificing stud running backs and wide receivers. You're getting the guy you want. And to be honest, it's like, okay, right now, it gives me clarity in my draft. Like, do I like Dak Prescott more or less than Brock Purdy or Kyler? I like Kyler more, but it's like I like having a target. I like knowing what I'm doing.
It almost feels like you do have to spend more to make sure you get it in that situation.
Yeah, but it's a couple cents.
Yeah. Just a couple, a round or two.
Yeah, sometimes. And know your league, right? Because I would guess that the league that is getting Dak Prescott, like where he's being drafted in most people's leagues, is either right at ADP because that's just who's available, or it's the, look at your teams. It's the team that took CD or the team that took George. Because I would also say that the stack with George would be great.
Yeah, I like the stack with George Pickens. The only thing you have to...
I'm just laughing because the George is
I think that's...
I will only call him George forever.
It is always George Pickens, Foot Clan. I will do my best to remind you.
If your target becomes Dak Prescott because you have CeeDee Lamb, I think, honestly, the George Pickens, whoever drafts it, that's the only team you got to actually be concerned about going to be hyper-targeting Dak.
Jason, let me put you to the test here because I'm curious. Dak is the first pick of the 11th round right now. Bo Nix is the second pick of the 8th round. Let's say you get in, it's 9:06.
Mm-hmm.
So Bo Nix is dropped a round and a half, but to get Dak, you're probably going to need to pull the trigger here, and you have CeeDee Lamb on your team. Which player do you select?
So I'm pretty bullish on Bo Nix. I like him a lot. He is much higher ranked in my rankings than even where he is going average draft position. So he drops down to the 9th. I will probably take him. But there are ways in which that doesn't go well. I would have no problem double tapping. If Dak's there at ADP in the 11th,
sure,
great. I'll take him too. And, not being committed to the every week start, playing matchups, and having two options that could both, in their own right, end up being high end.
Kyle just gave us a scorcher. He says, over the last 2 years, the Dallas stack of, which Kyle, I assume you're saying
with
CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott in full Dak starts, that is an important qualifier. 38 points per game for the two of them. That's the same as the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack over the past 2 years.
It's been incredible. We've talked at length about Dallas.
Man, I think Dak is so undervalued.
The biggest thing that we've talked about is, Sam Darnold was great in a clean pocket. Dak has spent the majority of his career with a top 5, top 10 offensive line.
Yeah.
How do things go for Dak in that regard, and can they execute the offense that is changing hands again? So, new head coach, new offensive line. Do things just go back to normal? CeeDee Lamb thinks they will, if you listen to him talk.
Well, he doesn't want to talk about how great he is, Andy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, part of it is it's like, okay, if all of this were a guarantee, Dak would not be drafted here.
Yeah, well,
that's the reality. Is it is a we know what the upside is, and the upside is best in the league wins you a title. There aren't a lot of players that have that kind of upside.
Dak Prescott has a year with 4 games started, a year with 12 games started, and a year with 8 games started. 3 different seasons where he was unfortunately, season-ending injury, and he did not have great fantasy years. Every other year of his entire career, which is 6 other seasons, he's been a top 12 quarterback 3 times in the top 6.
Now, did you learn about his injuries from Jerry Jones's press conference? Is that where you were informed about?
He's very upset about signing a contract for a player who might not even play.
He did seem to hold them accountable for missing the time.
Well, it's a slippery slope, Andy. You letting guys get away with having a fractured ankle?
It is a slippery slope. It's not how we
tell
did it.
them to look in the mirror and think about whose fault it was.
Keep that foot on is what Jerry's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying, Dak, that was so selfish to have your foot removed from your body.
Someone had
I just
the courage
paid you
to say
money.
It. That was selfish.
It's not how they did it back in the 30s. All right, into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
All righty, we've got some stuff to talk about. Justin Fields left practice on Thursday with a dislocated toe in his right foot. This was, we're recording Thursday afternoon. That was this morning. First he was carted off. Then there was some news that, hey, they didn't, why'd they take the cleat off if his knee was hurt? Because they were worried about ACL, and then it became the foot, and then became the toe.
And it was.
We were hoping it would go to toenail, but it just stayed at the toe.
Yep. We don't know as of right now what toe it was, but
it wasn't the big one.
The
process of elimination. We know that.
The Jets have their official social media accounts came out and listed him as day-to-day. So should be a nothing burger.
Should be okay, but I still do
you
worry
gotta,
for a mobile rushing quarterback.
Well, and a brand new offense. So you need to pay attention. If he ends up missing 2 weeks of camp, now we're in a big deal because you're running into the season.
Kyle Shanahan said he'd be surprised if Ricky Pearsall wasn't practicing by Sunday.
Okay.
Kevin Stefanski said it's fair to say Jerome Ford is the team's top running back right now. Fair to say is also what we would say about it when Quentin Judkins isn't playing and you have
or under contract
4th round Dylan Sampson to compete, and Ford has been established there, and so.
But don't worry, Ford has been missing some practices, but he'll be okay.
He's dealing with something. Maybe playing for the Browns. Jordan Schultz reported that free agent Noah Fant will visit the Bengals.
He's like, oh, now you want me around, huh?
Well, Noah Fant was a money problem.
I was talking about Jerome Ford.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Noah Fant, still just 28, I think, and so the Bengals looking into him. It would suck because I think Gesicki is like kind of a week-to-week,
he's for
desperation play.
For those games that T. Higgins miss, which we know is usually coming, you throw in Gesicki. Or maybe Noah Fant.
Noah Fant has been very disappointing.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts, by the way, has been working.
Oh my gosh,
with the Falcons wideouts, and then all the camp news is, we're giving the ball to Kyle Pitts, who, by the way, 24 and on the last year of his contract.
Yeah, contract year, young man, go earn the next bag.
Yeah, he's not going to do that.
He is. You know that Kyle Pitts is going to get a big money offer to this offseason, unless he comes out and just completely collapses.
I don't know if that's a concession.
I promise.
Big money though, like
big
top tier.
Yes, he will get a large.
What's
contract.
fall on?
I guess
fall
600.
Hold on. What yardage total is fall on face?
Like 400 yards.
Oh, okay.
So his sophomore year.
When he missed?
He missed some time. I was hoping you forgot that. All right, so Kyle Pitts getting a lot of attention. This is his time of year. He's actually been one of the most dominant offseason tight ends that I've been around since my fantasy career began. So,
is there a world? So we're super.
Trey Burton. Trey Burton's a good dominant offseason tight end as well.
Yeah,
he got the bag.
Yeah.
So we are very early. Training camp just started this week, just a couple days ago for most of these teams. This is we're 2-3 days into camp. Obviously, all the news out is how great Kyle Pitts dominated. He was the clear number 1 target in the 11-on-11s. Oh, he's being a monster, whatever. And we brush it off and we joke it aside. Is there something that could happen this offseason, this training camp, this preseason, to make you actually do it again? To go into this year
Darnell
and
Mooney
then
went down at practice with a trainer. So if you
he did?
Oh yeah, he did.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, after a diving catch. So we don't know the status.
He's
but
probably fine.
to answer the question, if we went into the season 1 weapon short, maybe. Look, he's 24.
Yeah, I'm
He had
just
a great
saying,
rookie season.
I'm wanting to
And you know what the actual
see what your temptation level is.
Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear, and I'm not trying to advise you draft Kyle Pitts. You talked about him getting a big money deal, and you look at the yardage he put up. He was over 600 yards for the last 2 years. If you grade that on a scale of what he should have been, it sucks. If you grade it on a scale of what's pretty okay for a tight end, 600-plus yards and 50-plus catches, what was he at? 90 targets 2 years ago. It's serviceable, right? It's not special, and we needed special for the draft price, and we've needed special for 4 years, and I won't touch him.
Yeah, for fantasy.
But that's the story. Is 600-plus yards is what you're going to get. So a streaming option, he should do stuff, right?
He should. He should. But will he?
But not special stuff.
I just hope he can run faster than
Mike is not
he
even
looked last year.
speaking. He doesn't even want to wait. He doesn't want his voice.
I feel like
Guys, I have a lot of heavy takes out there in the ether right now. I don't need to be attached to Kyle Pitts.
But I will say this: having posed these questions, I can tell that there is greater than 0% of Andy Holloway, greater than 0 that thinks there's a path for
Only
him
one
to
of us.
be really successful. Mike is at 0.
Only one of us in this room went out and traded for him on purpose in Dynasty, and it wasn't me.
That's true. That was me.
And it wasn't Mike.
But for the record, I paid jack squat. I'm buying on the penny scale. I'm not. I didn't go out and trade for Kyle Pitts because I think he's going to be
Here's who
great.
you draft Kyle Pitts ahead of. Let me give you that list. You draft him ahead of Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah.
You draft him probably ahead of Gesicki, Kate Otten. You draft him ahead of the slowest man on earth,
Dalton Schultz.
Those are the guys, the low upside guys. You might as well just take Kyle Pitts just in case.
100%.
So that's the story. And that's all we're going to say about
What is
that.
Dalton Kincaid?
Kincaid
or Pitts? Because I
would take Kincaid.
I would take Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, he's at 12, by the way.
He hasn't disappointed me that many years in a row.
No, and we know
he hasn't been there long enough. Mike.
Exactly.
Give him time.
Oh, hey, yeah. I'm not saying we aren't going to get there.
That is the funny thing. Like Dalton Kincaid's rookie season, about 670 yards receiving. And Pitts has had 600-plus the last 2 years. So they're both just equally disappointing. That is it for news and notes. We will take a break and hit the mailbag. All right, it is time to jump in and handle a bunch of your questions. Here we go.
Mailbag.
Ooh, yeah. If you have a question for this show, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. You can click the Submit a Question button, or you can dial our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. Nothing entertains us more than you calling the voicemail hotline and maybe making a slight mistake in your attempt to ask a question.
Those are fun.
We do get entertained by that. But let's start out here. Go ahead, Mike.
Nathan. Nathan Platt.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Here we go into a voicemail.
What's up, ballers? This is Nathan, longtime supporter of your show. Love everything you guys do. Keep it up. My question for you is, do you think Ashton Jeanty is being drafted too high at his ceiling, like we saw Marvin Harrison Jr. being drafted at last year? Or do you think he could crack that top 5 RB for the year? Appreciate it, guys.
This is Nathan who had the voicemail.
Was that him?
Yeah,
One
it's the
and
same guy.
He came back.
He's not a quitter.
Yeah, he came back with a vengeance.
That
and
sounded
please,
like a guy who didn't mess up the first time.
That was
I
excellent.
mean, we don't know. Maybe he didn't. Maybe there were 2 guys named the same.
I believe Ashton Jeanty could end the year as the running back 1.
okay.
That is a quick and easy answer for that one. I don't think that he's being necessarily overdrafted. I do think he's near his ceiling, but when you're drafted that high, I mean that's a pretty good ceiling. A lot of those guys are. I think Bucky Irving is being drafted, very much at his ceiling. But Jeanty, the thing that holds him back from like the number one overall to me is just simply, do you think that the Raiders' offense is going to have enough scoring opportunities for him to, have 10 touchdowns?
Are the Falcons a guarantee to be an offense better than the Raiders? I don't think so.
No, but they play such an easy division. They'll have games where they are,
splitting hairs. I look at both of those guys as, I think both can finish number one.
I'm okay with the Jeanty draft price, but I get it. It is a little scary. I think that the Falcons' offensive line is better, and
so you think that Jeanty can't? Where's his range of outcomes?
No, I think it's possible. Like your small probability that he could finish as the overall number one running back, especially with the guys we have going this year. And the question comes down to, do they spend? What was he, pick number 5?
I believe so.
Wait, no. What pick did
you?
5. 4, 5.
Are you talking about Jeanty?
4, 5, 6. He was picks 4, 5, and 6. He was the 6th pick.
6, yeah, because 5 was the Jags, and then they moved on. Okay.
Like I said, 6.
Spending the 6th overall pick on a running back to not feature that running back would be idiocracy.
I mean, with a depth chart, they could have spent anything. Like
that's what all I'm saying.
It's him alone.
That's if anything can go wrong, it's the coaches outsmart themselves and waste a draft asset like Ashton Jeanty.
When is the last time Pete Carroll took a first-round running back and decided to not give him bell cow usage?
You are kind of proving the point.
Yeah,
he will obviously not that high
later,
up, but that, yes, for those who are newer to the game, Rashad Penny, what it could have been, and then Rashad Penny could not beat out last pick of the draft, Chris Carson.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little hairier when you're in the 20s when you're drafting rookie running backs. But Matthew writes in off of X, says, how early is it to set, or how early is too early to set up your live draft date for your league? When do you set yours up?
Set it up now, but what date should your draft be? My recommendation is as late into the preseason as possible. Like the weekend before kickoff is great. We have ours on, is it Labor?
We're
Labor Day, which is September 1st.
It's as late as we can do it while everybody can still make it. That's what we do.
It's as late as possible. I mean, things are different now. The way, because it used to be, we all know that week 3, because there was 4 weeks of preseason. Week 3 is the dress rehearsal where the starters will go out and they will typically play an entire half. I feel like that doesn't happen anymore.
It doesn't.
Because, I mean, we only have the 3 preseason games. You have, and like week 2, they're not going to throw everybody out there for a half. So preseason is far more different when you're talking the risk of injuries in a game. Practice, of course, the risk of injury is still there, but it is not – I don't think it's nearly as important to go as late as possible as it used to be.
Going back 10 years, do you want to know the running backs taken in the top 10? If you want a memory refresher when we look at Jeanty?
Sure.
Trent Richardson.
Trent Richardson.
Christian
you go back further for Trent Richardson. That's 2012.
Oh, is
that's
it?
2012.
Are we going back to the Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette draft?
That's 2017. McCaffrey was 8. Fournette was 4. Zeke was 4 overall the year before. Saquon was 2 in 2018. Bijan was 8 in 2023. Jeanty was 6 last year. And then if you keep going back, you go Trent Richardson.
Which, ironically, if you don't remember,
a great rookie year.
I was going to say this is a 100% hit rate
it's pretty
as far
close
as
to
being good for those top 10 picks. Trent Richardson, after that rookie year, vanished.
Bijan finished at 9. He was only 12.8 points per game. I feel like
he's a good example.
He was a disappointment of ADP.
Yeah, that's a good example of what the range of outcomes is, I think, because it's not like Bijan was a bad player. It's just his circumstances, what the team needed from him, other backs.
Dude, they used Tyler Algier way too much his rookie year. It was infuriating.
And touchdowns. He had 4 receiving, but he only had 4 rushing touchdowns.
Oh, and you remember how much red zone work Algier got his rookie year?
Yes, I do.
Oh, my goodness. Arthur.
You dirty man. All right, we are back into a voicemail question.
Hey, ballers. I'm taking over as commissioner for my fantasy football league. Any general advice about taking over from a commissioner? Thanks.
Ooh,
we
new
hear
commissioner tips.
Yeah, we hear
Rule with an iron fist.
No,
Yeah. Yes.
we hear so many
It's a
questions
monarchy.
every year about basically bad things commissioners do. So I think one angle you could take is some of the things that have been absolutely insane, which is like not considering the opinions of the rest of your league, right? Our leagues are majority vote or super majority vote for all of our significant league changes. We certainly don't do things that we've heard commissioners do like, I just changed the way the rules work after the week to benefit the commissioner or other people in the league. Like neutrality, democracy, and activity. If you want to look to the positive side, a good commissioner facilitates the organization of a league in a manner that allows communication to be easy, people to be excited. For so many years, we did things like weekly write-ups about teams and how they performed, trade reviews. You don't have to do all that other stuff, but just keeping the league active. A couple really good managers, like the commissioner can be one of them, and then a couple more, like 2 or 3 super active, energetic people can define an entire league and get everybody on board. They really can. They can move the needle. We've had leagues where we lose 1 or 2 people that we didn't want to lose because they just had something going on. They wanted to leave the league, and you miss them. You miss the activity.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. We have.
Yeah. That's
Wait, what do you have?
It's not breaking news.
Super breaking news.
But Najee has been spotted
And
at
photographed.
Chargers practice. Now he is wearing gigantic sunglasses
And a hoodie.
so we cannot get a.
We've been waiting to see
I'm
that
zooming
eye.
in on this. I'm trying,
This eye gate.
but he's at least there.
Yeah, he's there. I feel like he's trolling us. You know what I mean? I hope he's trolling us. I hope
Here's the funny thing is you could, if you wanted, you're practicing outside, you play games in a helmet with a visor. He doesn't ever have to show us. You could never see it again. He can keep that eye secret as long as he can play football.
Weird.
So you guys were
TBD.
both you guys were both reacting. I was giving commissioner information.
It was
You
great
guys-
info, dude.
You guys saw.
Dude,
You don't know what I said.
great info.
I heard it.
You saw
didn't.
Najee though appearing at camp.
Yeah.
So, okay.
We had to dive in.
Do not unilaterally veto trades as a commissioner
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, don't have a veto period.
Yeah. Yep. Turn that off.
unless there's collusion, which we
Well, yeah.
we
I'm
repeat. You can kick someone out
I'm
for
not
collusion.
saying you can't cancel a trade, but don't have
I
like
wasn't-
the
yeah.
24-hour window or the
Oh.
48-hour window
So
for
lame.
trades to be approved once accepted.
Yeah, 1996 called. It wants its rules back.
Yep.
Anything else for commissioners that you want to mention?
Just be cool, man.
Yeah, just be cool.
Don't be a loser. Yeah.
That's really good advice.
I mean, it's good tips, right?
Let's go over to the Deucers because I know nobody's better on the mic than Matt over there. Matt, are you the commissioner of any leagues?
Yeah, I have a couple actually. But-
So
Yeah.
are you looked?
Yeah.
Do people look up to you in those leagues? Are you a good commissioner?
yeah, I'm the best commissioner.
Okay,
They respect me a lot.
they do.
Yeah, they love me.
And do you rule? I mean, any of these things we say, have you gone against them? Like, are you unilateral in anything?
No,
No.
we vote on everything.
Have you had to kick anybody out?
Yeah, I kicked out my brother one year.
Nice.
Yeah, good.
He's back, but he colluded.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
wow.
You let him
let
back
a colluder back?
It was
Did he sign a document promising he wasn't going to
He
do that
forged a
yeah,
document.
yeah. It was about 3-year ban.
again? Oh,
All right,
that's a
okay.
good ban.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
I guess
serious.
you don't have to like if someone colludes, are you done with them? I mean, are they?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
a lifetime ban?
I don't know, man. That's tough.
What if they're just a
someone
young
bet-
kid just finding their way in the world?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's say Calvin Ridley, he got his ban for betting
right.
on
Right.
sports, but what if he was betting on the Falcons? Do you let him back? Does the NFL let him back?
Pete Rose says no, they don't.
Right. Well, I mean, that was a different world. Also, Falcon, way to fly. We were practicing before the
He's
show
still
how to
almost
talk.
covering his mouth when he talks.
Yeah.
but he did do better.
And so I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Blah.
Kyle would like the world to know you're an idiot if you bet on the Falcons.
Well, I mean, when I say bet on the Falcons, I don't mean to win. You could bet on them to lose.
Oh,
That's
that would
way
be a
worse.
big problem. Yeah, Pete Rose always bet on his team to win, and they didn't let him.
See, I don't see why that's that big of a problem.
Well,
This is why I
look,
didn't want to get into this conversation.
But it's
Pete
like-
Rose conversation.
But if
No,
you're
the
betting
bet
for
on your
your
own
team
team
to
to
win,
win.
what is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Like ethically,
I mean, like,
I'm going to have to play so much harder now.
Yeah, there's nothing independently in a vacuum, that narrow channel of betting. There shouldn't be anything that is bad about that.
I think it's just the slippery slope argument. You can't. You've got to have a hard and fast rule.
You
that you
betting
can't,
on the game, you just can't have that be part of this sentence.
right. I get it. But
Because
at the same time,
the people who pay you are literally betting on you to go win the game for
Yeah,
your
you
team.
certainly can't do any lines or your performance or your yards or anything like that.
yes,
but
I
just
agree.
your
I agree.
team to
Just
win.
to your
Like,
team to win. The NFL should have one rule: you can bet on your team to win money line.
Or just part of their contract every week gets put in on.
Oh yeah,
Their money gets conditioned on,
I mean,
a bet.
Are there? I wonder if there's contracts for just
Wins and losses?
Yeah, there's wins.
This
for
is
sure.
why Mike didn't want to have this
So
conversation.
this is they basically are doing
There
this.
are. There's
There's
got to be
con-
escalators
there are-
with wins.
there are.
That's
there
a
are for
bet.
sure.
That's basically a
You're
bet.
betting on yourself
When
to
you
win.
sign that document, you bet on your own team.
Suspend him. Suspend him. Contract looks like betting.
I don't know.
All right.
Here's a question from YouTube.
Not a professional.
YouTube question. This is a frequent question asked by a lot of people every year. Brent writes in, well, first he says, mailbag, yeah. If you could pick any spot to draft from, which spot would it be and why? This is the first question by Brent, despite listening for 6+ years. We do get this question every single year because a lot of leagues allow you to pick your draft spot. That's part of the, sometimes you do reverse order of standings, gets 1 through 12, and sometimes you get first pick of spots. So in this draft, in this year, I think
What's the latest I can get Christian McCaffrey?
Any pick
Well,
in
yeah,
the first
you-
round.
you
I mean,
could- you
he's
could go-
on average in the second.
your spot's probably 9 or 8.
Then give me a late spot.
I'm probably more around the 5 or 6 range this year.
Yeah, I feel like there
Well,
are
who's the necessities? Chase,
the super necessities. Chase,
Bijan,
Bijan,
Saquon.
Barkley, Jefferson, CD.
I
Is
have
Jefferson
CD
a lock
He
for that
is to
top
me.
upper tier? Okay.
Yeah, he is to me.
Gibbs?
Gibbs.
So that's why I'm like 5'6", around
then-
Gibbs range.
Man, I feel like I am.
And CD, you could put CD in there.
I'm almost fine with like 11 or 12 right now. I think I would take 11 because to me, yeah, you're not getting Bijan, you're not getting Saquon, you're not getting Jamar Chase. So to me, like top 3 is worth it. But if I were Gibbs is great, but Gibbs versus Jeanty, Gibbs,
Chase Brown,
Derrick
Henry. I feel like when we did the mock drafts and you got saddled with the turn, I loved your team.
yeah, I
At the time.
like the guys at the turn. I'm looking at the people that are
We
going
need to-
around
yeah.
that spot. Derrick Henry, Ashton Jeanty, Nico
You
Collins,
need to look
Christian
at
McCaffrey.
the way back in though. Of like, okay, so
By
right
the
now
24?
ADP is Nico, then it's Achane, Brian Thomas Jr., Brock Bowers, Jonathan Taylor, AJ Brown, Josh Jacobs. Have I hit a point where you're like, you feel like there's a massive drop after Jacobs?
You're
ADP
talking about
wise?
in the second round?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
'Cause,
think that's about where it drops, unless you love McBride and want to go with a tight end.
Yeah, I think I'd go at the back half of the first if I could pick.
We have an Instagram question from Liam, PPR keeper question. Brian Thomas Jr. or Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Oh man,
Brian Thomas is 22.8. Amon-Ra is 25.8. I am very cozy with Amon-Ra.
Yeah, this is an easy Amon-Ra. If you're in a keeper league, this was a mistake that for years and years, I think our original league made. Nobody does this anymore, but they treated it like it was a dynasty league. If you're keeping 3 guys, the age really, really doesn't matter. You're probably not going to keep the same guy that you think you're going to have forever. It just doesn't work that way. So who's better this year? They're both young. And now if Amon-Ra was 29 right now, okay, maybe I'm going, I don't know how he's going to do this year and next year, but if you're still in the prime of your career, it doesn't matter whether you've got more years forward. I just want to make sure you're okay next year.
Amon-Ra is much safer to make
He's
sure
so
that
young.
you have
He's so young.
I'm saying you have a locked in wide receiver 1, but it's like Brian Thomas Jr. could be the wide receiver 1. and I don't think Amon-Ra can. So it's just what do you prefer?
Man, I think Amon-Ra could probably do it.
I don't think he can be number 1.
3 is not close enough
Yeah, I
for
mean,
you?
he's been 3
No.
the last 2 years.
No, because when you finish at number 1, generally you're like
Lapping
you're
the field.
multiple points per game ahead of number 3.
That's true.
Okay. We'll take another quick break, come back with more of your questions. YouTube question from Aloha Ace. Omarion, Hampton, or Chuba Hubbard as your RB2 in a full PPR league?
Oh, man.
With all the Najee news.
Najee's back.
With all the Najee news, Omarion Hampton certainly an interesting name.
Oh, man.
I haven't moved Omarion to the place I would believe he belongs in, if Najee didn't start healthy.
Right.
We all have him pretty close. I mean, I got him at 19 right now, Jason 22, Mike 17. But again,
Yeah,
this is one of the most camp-dependent adjustments possible. Chuba, I have one spot higher right now. Jason has Chuba higher, and Mike has him lower. If I knew that Najee was healthy and playing, I'd probably just stick with these rankings, and I'd probably go with Chuba. I think he's going to get so much work. I'm optimistic for Carolina's offense to have success, and yeah.
The thing about Hampton is you're going to need to make sure that you have a more dependable running back 2 for a chunk or 2 of the season. Because like Chuba, you write in running back 2. He's going to be their main guy for the entirety of the season. Hampton, it might take time. I am still going to bet that over the course of the season, Hampton will be the guy. But
you're saying if you go high T, and this is your 4th round pick, and he's your 3rd running back, you've got a stud wide receiver. Maybe you went Jamar Chase in the 1st round,
right,
and then you go running back, he's your 3rd.
Then I would take Hampton over Chuba.
I don't mind that. I do think that Chuba's a good back, and I think he's going to be pretty safe. But when we talk about play style of fantasy football and whether you're really truly trying to win your league, feels like Omarion Hampton is the better pick, the better offense, the more run-heavy team, the better talent.
It's like he was a first round, or Hampton was a first round, and Nick Chubb was not. But it's like the Nick Chubb year where Carlos Hyde was in Nick Chubb's way. And then about halfway through the season or whenever it was, I believe they traded him. They traded Carlos Hyde away, and all of a sudden Nick Chubb is just
I could see the exact same thing. Like, if you're telling me Dallas halfway through this year isn't knocking on the door to get Najee,
right?
When they look at that team and go, that team probably wants to get rid of Najee and give the ball more to Hampton. I could see something like that happen.
Yeah, you guys enjoy the Jim Harbaugh gif of him behind
peeking through the curtains. I don't even know what it was.
I didn't see it.
Are you kidding me?
Dude,
look at it right now.
Someone post it.
You can find it anywhere.
The lack of memes for what that moment was is disappointing.
It was just spectacular.
Have we memed it? It's social media, man. Have we memed this?
Falcon?
What?
Have you? Oh, my God.
Look. You're fired.
Again.
You're fired. Pay attention to the show. The Chargers put up a video, and then at the end it like zooms in. It's Harbaugh like peeking through.
It was you basically
some
see
curtains or something.
This slow-mo video.
It's like John Lovitz,
Justin Herbert.
Oh my gosh! Are you kidding me?
It's awesome.
It's unbelievable.
So good. He is such a football guy.
And I have not seen that thing memed the way it deserves.
And it
especially
deserves
from our own social media
We need
account.
to download that thing and go to work.
He's
just. That is an inappropriate look he's giving. I mean,
giving Herbert.
Yeah.
Look, sometimes
the police are gonna show up, Harbaugh.
I honestly think Jim Harbaugh wins by sheer force of will sometimes. Really, like just loving the game and thinking about the game.
You saw his podium attire, right?
Yeah, I mean,
he had
cleats on.
To a degree, his passion for football is it's summed up in that meme.
I think
so. Make sure you post it and make sure you
Harbaugh
meme
would
it.
trade his family for a Super Bowl win.
Yeah,
I think he would.
I mean,
I think he'd put his family in the game and force them to win a Super Bowl.
But it comes from love. This is not like Bill Belichick would also have sacrificed his family for a Super Bowl win, but with a scowl on his face. Jim
Right.
Harbaugh
He's so happy.
He would
Football
convince
makes him
the
happy.
family that it's a good thing to go down for this win. He's just such a he's a great coach, and sometimes I'm just shocked. But it wore out its welcome in San Francisco at one point in time too. So, all right, this is a fun question from the website. Caden writes in from Calhoun, Louisiana. Hey, ballers.
Hey.
I've recently gotten my wife into fantasy football, and on draft day, she also uses the UDK, and she takes advantage of the vast knowledge it provides. How do I navigate draft day when she is looking at the same cheat sheets I'm looking at? He left a note in the details, which oftentimes people put their league format in the details field. This one says we're both very competitive.
Good note. Thank you.
So, I would say this to start, and you guys throw in what you think. The UDK is not like a set of like 15 steps to win your draft. It's not an order of operations. So it's really a robust tool in which you build your own game plan based on the resources therein. So, yes, you're both going to have some players you're probably targeting that are similar if you buy into some of our logic.
And you listen to the show.
Yeah.
Unless you got your wife into the fantasy footballers, then may God have mercy on your soul.
Right. That's gonna be real tough. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different resources in the UDK, and some are better than others. We say that in the UDK, like we have a top 200. Really encourage her to use the top 200.
Yeah, we don't like it when you use it. You made us make it.
Yeah,
but we prefer you to be
clamored
tier.
for it because it's easy, but it's not as good as the separate tiered-based positional rankings, because then it's about roster construction and grabbing the right guys from the right tiers, as opposed to just this guy's 10 spots ahead of that guy in a shuffled together list. So it's use your brain.
Yeah, and then the win will be even sweeter.
That is true. The wins are sweeter when you're playing with good competition.
All right, Instagram question. When is the best week to set the trade deadline in a Dynasty League? Red Merc 92 writes in with this question. We have a Dynasty League. We have our Keeper League, and we have trade deadlines that have been different between them.
Yeah, I think in a Dynasty League, I want to say ours is week 12.
You guys, I think, convinced me to back it up a week or two.
Yeah.
I get it.
I want to say we were 11 for a while, and then
I
we
think
went
you're
to 12.
Right. Yeah, it's somewhere around, normally about a week later
Than the NFL.
than the NFL, or the default in like ESPN and Sleeper and wherever you're playing, is I think how we've done it. Tyler writes in from X and says, Bucky Irving or T. Higgins going forward in a Dynasty League. Bucky Irving, we know, just 22 years old, entering his second season. T. Higgins, 26, just signed the contract.
4-year, $115 million contract extension.
This one is actually, it's tough for me, I think. Running backs, shorter shelf life than wide receivers. Higgins is locked up and attached to Burrow for a number of years. But I think running back's the harder position to find overall in a Dynasty League if you can have somebody that's really locked in. So that's going to come down to your conviction around Bucky Irving's staying power, I think, and whether you think he'll be does he get a second contract? That's tough for running backs.
And what do you believe about T. Higgins' meat?
What?
His muscles.
What?
No, his
What?
muscles. His muscles is.
What?
We're going. Thank you.
What?
I'm going to close
I
my
wanted to
eyes
say
and
his-
pretend I'm not here.
I wanted to say his bones, but he's not breaking bones.
No,
He's
I
always
want- no.
pulling muscles. So
I'm not here.
do you think T. Higgins will be healthy?
I still don't know what it meant. What he
It
meant.
means his body.
I
his
hope
health.
he means not what I heard. That's what I hope. I'm
man.
taking T.
Well, what do you,
Higgins.
Mike? What do you
I
think?
will answer this
of it?
question.
What do
no,
you
don't
think?
ask me about T. Higgins. I would take
Diving deeper.
I would take T. Higgins in a Dynasty League because I think Bucky will be one of those players that he burns really bright for a couple of years, and then we're sad, and we just remember the times of Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
This one comes down to what depth you have at both positions. So I'd like to keep Bucky.
I'll break the tie with T. Higgins.
I mean, the sentence is just unacceptable. It's just not. It's standalone, not standalone. It's just
Look, I'm trying new
not
trying
okay.
new things. I'm
We
sick
know.
of saying soft tissue.
Please, Please don't say that one.
Don't combine those two sentences together.
No soft meat. Okay.
No. Abort.
Boston.
All right. Well, I think the answer was T. Higgins.
I'm
Great
pretty sure
question
the
for me,
show
though.
is over.
Great
It was Bucky
The
for
show-
me, but the show is definitely it's definitely over. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you didn't fall off your lawnmower just then, but we'll be back
Goodbye.
5 shows a week soon. Get me out of here.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.